back. I'm Kelvin, and today we are going to do an update on the container watermelon seeds that we planted about 3 weeks ago. And what I'm going to do today is what's called thinning, where we take out all of the extra plants that will hinder the proper growing of the other plants so that survival is the greatest. But I'm also going to do another thing which is called companion planting, where we plant in things that are both beneficial and or don't compete with the actual plant that's already growing. So today I'm going to put in here with the Congo watermelon, I'm going to put in a radish, which is a Japanese wasabi radish. Never even had it before, but I love all things spicy. And then I'm going to also put in some early scarlet globe radish as well. Usually I put that in salads, and I also roast them if I have enough of it. But I have a feeling that the Japanese wasabi radish hopefully will be a good enough spice kick if it's actually similar to wasabi, and that I can replace inside salads, and then just use this other radish for roasting, which is absolutely fantastic. But also I'm going to crowd into this container some dill. So dill doesn't get along with too many things. Shouldn't really plant it with a lot of stuff. It competes with a lot of things like tomatoes, and doesn't allow it to grow up quite well. But dill I'm going to need. I like to put it in mayo and tartar sauce, also with pickles and doing pickled onions and such. So I really do like to have the dill. And if you look at prices in the store right now, this $3.58 dill plant that I got from the rescue pot over there at the Home Depot will yield me quite a bit of dill as compared to buying that little pack for about $3-4 in the grocery store. So let's go ahead and get started with the actual thinning. Let me put the camera closer. You notice I've got where I had planted the Congo seeds in 3 groups of 2, and of those 5 of them came up. So very nice. I'm very happy about that. And if we look, I've got 1 set of true leaves and a second set coming out here. On this one here, well, the second set hasn't come out, but this one, the second set has. So I'm going to snip off this one. And you don't need to remove the whole entire root. If you just cut off this portion of it, the rest of it will just die. And this one, since it's bigger, I'm going to go ahead and keep it, and we'll let that one go. So now 5 becomes 3, and it gives this the better chance of survival. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and stick in the dill. I'm going to put that in the middle here. Okay, and I just want to get this in the ground and plant it no lower than its crown, which is right here. Stick that down in there, cover it back up. And normally this is $5.38, but being on that distress rack where they felt like it's about to die, we might as well try and get something out of it. It was $3.58, and I think it's going to do just fine. Lastly, let's go ahead and put in the radish seeds. So this one, the Japanese wasabi, says it should sprout in 3 to 6 days, and it needs to be at a seed depth of 1/4 inch and planted 2 inches apart. So I'm gonna just go ahead. Well, we ain't planting that many because we ain't got but so big of a pot. But we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That should be good for now. A good sample size. And my other radish, which is right here. This one says should germinate in 4 to 6 days at a depth of 1/2 inch and should be 1/2 to 1 inch apart. Okay, so these should be ready in anywhere from about 25 days or so. So I should be able to, over the course of the growing of this watermelon, which will be like 90 to 100 days, but we've already had about 2 weeks since germination. So subtract that off. I'm gonna go ahead and just get a few in here because I've got time to where I can do some now and then come back later and do some more. And now we water in. Okay, so now we're on the other edge of the pool where I've got the 20-gallon pot that has the Crimson Sweet watermelon plants in them. We're going to thin them. Now, what I noticed with the Crimson Sweet is maybe I didn't plant it in well, maybe I watered too hard in the regular watering of the pot to keep it from drying out. But just like with the Congo watermelon, we planted 6, and of those 6, I see 1, 2 have come in, and then 2 more came in, and now there's this one last one that's kind of sprouting out. And let me show you what I'm talking about. Got these 2 right here that seem to have come up first. Then I've got these 2 right here that came up, well, probably maybe a week later. And lastly, I've got this one that's kind of poking out. So I had planned, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to snip off these 2 early leaves because it looks like they got affected by leaf miner. So stick that in the trash. And this one also, but it's smaller of its group, so I'm just going to snip it off. This one came up too late and it's in the wrong positioning, so I'm going to snip that one out as well. And lastly, I'm going to take this one that's in the back here out, and so that leaves us with these 2 vines for the Crimson Sweet. Now, I'm not going to be so upset and worried about that because I can plant again watermelon, especially the Crimson Sweet, because it's a shorter time frame than the Congo watermelon over there, and so I can plant again come beginning of August and be able to hopefully get another batch out. In addition, with the Crimson Sweet, I can get about 3 to 4 watermelons per vine of a nice size, and that's pretty good when you're growing from home, especially since I bought a fantastic watermelon tasting wise. Okay, so I'm not complaining about that, the taste and everything like that, but this watermelon, and I'm not going to name the store, this watermelon was $8.98, and it was about basketball size. How are you supposed to survive if you gotta buy a watermelon for $9? I don't get it. So I'm gonna try and grow as many as I can, but at the same time, I wanna try and do it the proper way and not my usual hard-headed way, which may end me up with maybe 1 or 2 watermelons instead. So let's go ahead and do the companion planting for this one. And for this one, I've decided to go ahead and add cucumber. This is a muncher cucumber. It's one that I use for pickling, and hence the need for the dill over there. And so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna stick that in, but I only want 2 vines of this, and they'll run in opposite direction. So I'm going to take and put 2 seeds. Cucumber here, here. These go in at 1/2 inch, and here, here, and then I'll thin those when they come up. And about usually it's anywhere from about 7 to 10 days, but it can be upwards of 14. Then I'm going to take and I'm going to stick in some lima beans. This is the Ford Hook 242. It's a bush variety, so I don't need any trellising. And here I already have 4 containers of these lima beans already growing. And they are sprouting, flowering, and I know I saw some earlier. Yes, they are actually yielding right now. So this weekend I need to get out here and go through and pick them out, because they are best when they're young. So in each one of those 5-gallon pots, I planted 5 seeds. And I think all but 2 out of the 20 that I planted all came up. So this time around, I'm going to do probably about 6 in here. No, let's do 8. So I'm going to do 8. And they go in at a depth of 1 inch. And like I said, being a bush variety, when they come up, they support one another by just leaning over, and it's kind of like the song Lean On Me, you know? And that leaning on one another keeps me from having to go and set up some type of trellis system. Now, besides being a good companion plant for this watermelon, these lima beans also let me accomplish successive planting. So these are already producing and flowering. Now, in a couple of weeks, when these Over here, stop. Aw, the ladybug. I'm loving it. These do well in the heat. They can take like up to 90 degrees, but it's better, I find, to have a little bit of shade for them once they reach maturity, and they will bolt very, very quickly. So this one, I'm going to go ahead and let it go to full seed. The one behind it, I'll probably snip and have in tomorrow's lunch. But having some type of shade for this spinach allows me to be able to get away with leaving it just a little bit longer. So over here, where you saw me with the amaranth, which is right next to the lima beans, but it has the green beans, which are in the ground. Okay, and those are also bush types. Don't really like the trellising kind. I do have some with the black-eyed lima bean, but it takes up quite a bit of space for me, and it blocks sun for other things that can grow behind it. So I try to go with bush variety of beans. So let's go ahead and do the amaranth, and by having the lima bean bush style inside here, that's going to lend some shade once it grows up to the amaranth underneath. Amaranth, if you've ever planted carrots or strawberry seeds like that, it's very like loose and on the top. So I usually just go ahead and just let it fall inside, and wherever it sprouts up, it sprouts up. I don't have the time to sit there and pick each and every little one. Okay, it does well. It works for me. All right, so that's it for this pot, and now I'm going to go ahead and do the watering in, but you don't need to stay and watch me water in. You know how it's done. Water deeply and well. That way everything that you've just planted or transplanted will have a better chance of surviving. So, thumbs up if you like this video, if it helped you out. Subscribe, because I've got some more stuff coming. And also, listen, it's simple. Love yourself, because don't be hard on yourself. It's not worth it in the end. Love those around you, because it's simple, it's easy, costs you nothing, costs them nothing, and it'll mean so much for both of you, okay? So until the next time, be well, be safe, successful gardening to you all. Bye.